Hi, guys. So, Disney Plus actually released a series of shorts, and the whole thing is called Short Circuit. So, we watched a select few, some of the best ones in our opinions. We're just going to kind of go over what they mean to us. A lot of them kind of have bigger meanings. They're all really cute. That's something that they all have in common. But we're going to kind of break them down and say our thoughts about them.
So the first one we're going to talk about is Cycles. And that one kind of hit home for me because it's basically about a family who went into it's mainly based on a house and a family who created their home in that house, and it went backwards. So it went from the grandma going through her past and how the home affected their lives. And I thought that was really, really like impacting to me because I had lost my dad, and I thought that it like really, really like just hit me in an emotional way. And you kind of see how they went from being a little bit handicapped and disabled to going back to when they first like fell in love and first bought the home and first had a kid and going through that type of cycle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think one big thing is too, like at the very beginning, it shows the daughter telling her mother, basically, who's geriatric at this point, that she needs to live in assisted living. And a lot of times it's like those decisions are made by the kids, but this media is kind of a practice and kind of like empathy and what it means to, you know, put your parent someplace like that, and how, I mean, she was accepting of it at the end, but it could be devastating to some people who, like you said, spend the time to make a house, a home, and have all their memories there.
Yeah. What do you guys, sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, like, at the ending when she says, like, I'm not leaving my house, I'm leaving, like, a home.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that kind of shows what she thought about it in terms of, like, it wasn't just, like, a place. It was, like, her actual, like, this is who she was. This is where her place she rests.
Yeah, and this is where her family, where she basically established her family. And that's where everything is. What do you guys think about the whole, because one of the big things in that short was the decision to leave that home and go into assisted living, which is basically you're going into a place where it's a bunch of people who are like you but are strangers to you, and it's not your family. What do you guys think about that?
Just as a general thought.
Yeah, because like it's a question that's raised from this short.
Right.
I think it's just like I said, it's not a decision I think those older people make on their own. No one wants to leave their home. I think it's something that their kids kind of decide for them. So unfortunately, the big thing is, it's a big thing here in the US, but a lot of people that are in those places, I'm sure, feel a little abandoned, which sucks.
And in the short, it said, like the daughter was telling her mom, like, I think it's time for you to go into assisted living. I think that was one of the very first sentences.
Yeah, those people have like no choice either, because a lot of times they have no income themselves, so they're relying on their kids. It's
a very interesting cultural distinction, because I feel like for those of us who we're
children of immigrants.
It's not common practice to send your elders to assisted living, and so it's a little bit of a there's a different worldview that we're, I mean, at least for myself, I can speak for myself. There's conflicting worldviews that go through my mind as far as the reasoning behind sending your parents into this assisted living facility. And I don't know if you guys have been in those facilities. I've been in a lot of them.
It sucks.
And it can either be, there's some like really expensive, really nice ones, but then most of them are not that great. And so it seems like it's almost as if like in this culture, there's this, and we just had the experience with Kobe Bryant. We talked about that, where we kind of hide from death. We hide from fragile humanity. And I feel like that's almost exacerbated by the practice of sending our elders to this collective living space where they can go basically to die amongst themselves.
Yeah. I
It's like
feel
removing
like
yourself from
Yeah.
from the problem as the
Right.
kid.
I
It's
feel
as
like
if-
you're abandoning, your family and
There's definitely that aspect to it as far as at least
I
how some
personally
people
wouldn't
feel.
do it, but out of curiosity, I suppose let's say the situation is that you don't have the capability of taking care of your parent or someone older anymore. What do you do in that situation?
I would hire a nurse, like an in-home, like a caregiver.
Do you mean like financial capability?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely a challenge. And then there are people who obviously, and this might not apply to that, but there are people who don't have kids. Like, what happens with them? And so I think that the idea of assisted living, it would still cost money,
Yeah.
in the end. And if it's a situation where somebody doesn't have kids or they're for some other reason other than financial ability are unable to support them, then it's an option. It's an option, but I don't necessarily believe, at least coming from my own perspective and my own upbringing, that it's the best option.
I don't want to go too into like policies and whatnot, but there is something that the government does for you if you have to take care of like a family member. It's like family leave or whatnot because you have to take care of someone. So you do get paid.
Yeah, you get paid to take care of your own family, which
Yeah.
is like an option. I know for some people it's like an unfortunate inevitability. Like when there's no income or you just don't have, some people really aren't able to take care of their parents like that. Also, I feel like for us being like children of immigrants, we have large extended families. So say we ourselves cannot take care of our parents, I could see like my mom eventually maybe
Yeah.
moving back to the Philippines or like
Yeah,
living with her
definitely.
sisters and brothers.
Yeah.
But I know there's like a large like amount of people that aren't as close with their extended family where that assisted living is more prevalent.
I think a part of the short, the Cycles one, the one that impacted me the most, the scene, was probably the ending where you see how the home is like, it has a lot of graffiti and the windows are broken and whatnot, and that home isn't home anymore. And when she said like, I'm going to miss my home, it's like the thought of being together with everyone, and now she's alone in assisted living.
Yeah.
Talking about the actual filmmaking itself, this is in VR format, correct?
Yes,
I think that's a
correct.
really cool format actually, because it's like you yourself kind of inhabit that person's life and you're seeing the life in their home through their eyes because it's in VR. It's kind of a really cool thing that they did with that, I think.
Yeah, so you'll be able to see them like walking around you and going through the cycles.
Dope.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention was I like how they did the whole going back into the past thing, because I feel like because we get to see it at first, she's old, and then now she's getting younger and younger, and we get to sort of experience how her life was like, or how their lives were like together.
Yeah.
How
It was
played
like,
out.
yeah, how it played out. It's sort of like how, right now at this very moment, the present, we can see the elderly or people who are older than us, and it sort of tells us, there's always a history, there's always a past, and there's always like a story to go along with that. And this short definitely using that whole going back in time thing brought that out for me. It's like, make sure that you always think about those things.
I think the next one we could talk about is the second one we watched would be, I think it was Just a Thought.
hmm
And Chuka, do you want to take it off?
I guess, yeah, just a thought. I definitely thought, thought, no pun intended. It was definitely an interesting one. Just seeing the whole idea of like, a guy's just scared to show his feelings or his thoughts about what he likes about a girl, and then eventually it ends up ending up that she has the same thought, which I kind of thought was cliche, but that's the part.
I remember you were like, I knew it.
Yeah, it's kind of predicted, but I was like, oh,
It's
she has
just
the
like
same thought.
an adorable coming of age one. Everyone
Yeah.
goes through kind of an awkward phase with feelings for people, and this is a very literal take on it, which is, I think,
Yeah.
in a cute way. They did it in a cute way.
But
I
if
just-
that did happen, if everyone could see our thoughts, I don't know how
Yeah.
how life would be.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you applied it to like
Scary.
now, that's like invasive, man. I wouldn't go outside.
Yeah, I'd be very scared.
What did you think about it, OC?
I liked it. I liked the animation style of that one, and probably the most of the select few that we saw, because it reminded me a lot of Into the Spider-Verse, where it's kind of like that
Yeah.
comic
It
book
had that.
type
Yeah,
style.
kind of did. So like that.
Yeah, so I really liked that aspect of it. And then as far as the actual story, I'm kind of on the side of Chuku, where it's like, yeah, it was kind of predictable. It was kind of like he was like,
Like it had a cute message.
yeah, and which is like typical Disney style, but it seems like, I don't know if it would have been better or more interesting if it's like, if the girl didn't necessarily have the same feelings towards him, and then seeing him deal with it
Yeah.
in that way.
That way it can be
Yeah,
like
That's
just-
kind of
something
morbid.
different.
Yeah,
but
it'd be
I
more
feel like it
real.
would have- Exactly. Yeah.
It would be more real, exactly.
More real, dude. I mean, this
It's
is
like
coming from
500 Days of Summer right here.
Yeah.
This is coming from the three guys'
Yeah,
perspective.
our perspective of it.
Yo, it doesn't.
Who are you? Who are you?
It doesn't happen that way.
Rejection.
Exactly.
It
It's
doesn't
like,
happen like that. It's
that's
just like
the perfect story.
Okay, I'm so sorry, guys. We'll stop talking about it now. We'll stop thinking about it.
Man, you guys just want to have like a sad life.
No, but like, if I'm thinking about these shorts in the future, right?
Yeah.
I'm probably not gonna remember that one that much.
Yeah.
I like the style, like they said, but the story of the short story, the substance of it was very predictable, very sort of, these are things you can imagine anytime. But like the other ones, they actually made me feel something different. The story made me think about it more. This one's sort of just cute. I watched it. It's cool.
I agree. I do agree with you guys. This one was predictable.
Same.
They can't push the envelope with this one because it's like two kids and they just kind of made it a cute one.
Yeah.
yeah.
But you're right. Out of all of them, they all
They're
have
like an elementary school.
this one didn't have like
or
a
something.
huge, bigger message as much as the other ones did.
Yeah.
I think there are hidden messages. In the
On
other
that
ones.
note, we can go on to the third short that we watched, which was Exchange Student. I thought that one had a pretty good message because it kind of deals with inclusivity, and it's like a girl who is an alien, pretty much, like, amongst other aliens.
Yeah, that's true. She's an alien.
And she's able to eventually be included into their group and have some type of common ground.
So to be clear, it is a little elementary school full of aliens, but the main character herself is a young black girl. And I think that was a really relevant choice because I feel like a lot of POCs are othered in schools and it can be really damaging. And I think showing that accepting them and that whole action of accepting them and painting that in a positive life is going to promote inclusivity, which is really important. So I really like the message of that one personally. That was a really good one.
I think it could be like a metaphor too. Like the aliens aren't necessarily aliens; they're just other people who don't
People that have othered her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, and the way that they chose to deal with it was good. I think that it was a positive story. They finally accept her after she helps them out. And
I know she does something for them.
Yeah.
I think there could have been a better way to do that because she does basically
Yeah, I feel you on that.
help them.
Sacrifice herself.
She kind of does something a little dangerous and gets them their toys back after a little situation. I think the main message here that might have got lost in it was to embrace each other's differences.
Yeah.
Because the reason she could help them is because she was different.
Yeah.
And I think that was the main message, is kind of like to embrace each other's differences because we can make society better.
Yeah. It was good. I think that I I liked everything about it. It's just that it felt, and it makes sense. Honestly, this is all Disney Plus.
Disney Plus,
It
family
felt
friendly.
childish.
Yeah.
In a
Childish.
sense. It was like it was touching on the topic, but not really doing much with it.
Okay,
which
I see
is
what you mean.
which is fine because it's
Yeah.
of the medium that we're watching it
Right.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, and it's also short. So
And it's
like,
also a short.
Yeah.
It's a short film. It's a
You can only fit so much in
you
like
can
2
only-
minutes.
Exactly. So yeah. For what it was, I thought it was good. I
The-
thought it was
I feel like this is like all of these are kind of modern versions of Tall Tales and Fables because it's kind of a cutesy story with an underlying message. And this is what like that kind of storytelling has turned into, because these all kind of have like a bigger message, you know?
And these are meant for, you know, little kids these
children.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are we
Yeah.
watching these? No, they're thoroughly enjoyable though.
No, but hopefully subliminally the kids get it, you know.
Yeah, they get it.
Yeah.
I think it's an easy way for them to understand embracing other people and their differences
Yeah.
and showing them how hurtful it can be. But I don't like that it kind of went in the direction, like you said, how she had to sacrifice herself in order for other people to get to know her and accept her for who she is.
Yeah. I mean, she wasn't sacrificed, but she did.
Kind of.
It was what their experience was transactional, because
It was
she
all-
did
Yeah.
something for them, and
Right.
then they liked her.
She put herself in danger in order to make that happen. So that's I guess what the sacrifice is.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it would be better if it wasn't transactional.
I
You
think
know,
that it's
it was
and part of
natural.
it, like as I'm thinking about it more as you guys are talking, part of it is real in the sense that for people who are in that position growing up, there's a sense or a feeling of wanting to be accepted,
Yeah.
and you are, especially at a younger age,
Yeah.
there are instances where, for me at least, there are moments of trying to reach out and like trying to like in the way that she was wanting to connect.
Yeah.
And it's not always reciprocated.
Yeah.
And so that part of that aspect of the short was real, and I thought that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was also one other thing. Something that I liked about the short was seeing a black girl is not very common. Like just seeing her in a cartoon for Disney, it's not, I don't really like, other than Tiana from Princess and the Frog, there's not very many like depictions of
Yeah.
black girls in this.
That's
Not to
true.
mention though, seems like the creator was like a white person.
Yeah.
It was a
Same
white
aspect.
lady. And so
That's true.
And we didn't really watch the background, so I might want to go back and watch the background on that one and just see what her reasoning and perspective is, and then maybe I'll have some judgments on her. After that, we'll come back.
I do want to say though, out of all these 14 shorts, only one of them, which was this one, had a black girl. So
Representation is so important.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate that she's the only. But I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad she was in there, because this was a memorable one for me, because I think maybe all of us in this room have had instances where we felt othered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. A lot.
yeah. And just to let you guys know, we are like either Asian or black, you know, we're not white
I
or
mean,
whatnot. Yeah,
technically, yeah.
Asian or black.
I'm half Mexican, guys.
Okay, there's
Yeah.
the Latina in here.
And we're Nigerian,
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah, specifically Nigerian. Let's rub that in.
Yeah.
All right, so the next
love you
one
guys.
we watched is Puddles.
Puddles.
Yes,
Yeah,
Puddles.
Puddles.
This one's very, to me, it's like the age old, or not even age old. This is in our generation.
Yeah.
Like old people telling us to get off our phones. This whole thing was about kind of not being
Yeah.
so
I
mean-
engrossed in our
Yeah.
technology.
Maybe I'm an old person, but I guess I feel this short because
Me too.
because I see my cousins who are in high school and college, and elementary school and middle school. I guess the whole spectrum basically. All my cousins always on their devices and their phones and stuff, which
Yeah.
is kind of ironic because it's the young one that
Yeah.
is moving about these puddles
Yeah.
and the older one that's on their phone. So for me, it's sort of the opposite. Like I'm the one who's trying to get my cousins to get off their stuff
Yeah.
and like explore and do cool things together. and
That's
stuff.
fair.
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
think it's unfortunate if really young kids are engrossed in media and technology all the time, because we live in a really great space, especially like living in Southern California. We have like state parks here. We have really cool cities
Yeah.
surrounding us. But I mean, I want my kid to code. So like, they're going to be having a cell phone in their newborn hands.
Yeah, this to be honest, this was my favorite out of all the ones we saw. I just felt like the story was well self-contained. I feel like some of the other ones, I mean, other than Cycles, I feel like some of the other ones, either they were kind of cliche, or I feel like they was kind of forced, or like they add something in. But this one felt well contained, well like believable, especially when he starts taking the phone away.
It's the pilot. It's the number one.
Number one episode.
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the
That's
pilot.
true.
So
Yeah,
it's
that's understandable too. Is like the frustration the little boy shows when he like finally takes the phone out of her hand
Yeah.
and Mia,
Yeah,
And
I was
throws
so-
it into the puddle.
so that she could
Yeah, I
pay
was so
attention to
happy about
him.
that. I was
Yeah.
like, finally,
Really,
oh my gosh,
exactly.
this girl, man.
Exactly. It has
Yeah.
all the right story elements too, in terms of what makes a good story. The only thing that I have questioned was what happened to her phone at the end, because it said
That's true. How did she get it?
she got her phone back and then it just disappeared too. But whatever.
Huh.
But the whole message was just to like appreciate. You don't know what you're gonna see, and when you get off your phone, so you can appreciate certain things in life. And there was a whole other world in that portal.
Yeah.
So
And like there's a whole relationship you could be having with your family when you
Yeah.
spend more time with them unplugged, you know?
It's very interesting because I watched this last night, right? And on that day, I forgot my phone at work. You know what I mean? Like I forgot my phone, so I didn't have my phone for most of the day. And it was just nice not to be having that sort of a bother in my head.
Yeah,
Should
like
I check my
constant
phone?
notification.
Yeah.
My notifications are always off.
Yeah.
They're almost that also hurt me before too. Like when I invited people to parties and stuff, they would try to like hit me up, but I so that was bad. I need to remember to turn my notifications on in that case. But I think I'm sort of a bit different from most people because I try my best not to go on social media, and I'm pretty successful at it. I don't go on any social media or whatever unless I need to, and it's mainly for messaging.
yeah.
So for me, like not having my phone that day was very nice, and I related to this a lot because the friend that I was having lunch with was just on his phone all the time, and
That's annoying.
Yeah.
I think there should be a balance. I have to be up on media all the time in my job. I work with digital ads, so I kind of need to see placements all the time to like get new ideas for things. But aside from that, I do feel like bogged down sometimes, and it's good to have a balance. So like outside of work, I can enjoy things like my surroundings, my relationships with people, good food, love, life, live, laugh, love. But yeah, I think it's all about balance. But this was a good short to at least as like a reminder to people who maybe are a little too consumed in technology and in their phones.
I just
To
hope
just-
it can actually have an effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope it
doubt
does
it.
have an effect.
I doubt it.
Although people will be on their phones looking at the short and be like, "Oh, that's a good message."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But it's pretty literal in a sense where it's like when you're off your phone, there's a whole nother world. And she
Yeah.
went into a whole nother world.
Yeah.
So I think that was good.
This is like the kids' version of Black Mirror. Right? That one was.
Okay.
Right? Because these are all anecdotal.
That's
Right?
That's true.
That
yeah.
is true. Each episode is different.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
what's the
Black
main
Mirror-
theme of this? Because Black Mirror has the main theme of technology.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
yeah.
technology bad because you ignored your brother. What if the pool was evil?
That's one episode.
Or, well, like all the episodes, what's the main theme?
I don't think
they all
there's
have
like
different ones.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's
that's
not
it.
No,
really
just
a-
this one to
Yeah,
me.
just this one,
This
yeah.
one is Black Mirror.
It's the Black Mirror episode.
They all have different underlying meanings
Yeah.
that aren't connected, I want to say.
Yeah, it's Black Mirror
Black
about the
Mirror is all about
consequences.
technology bad consequences.
Technically, the last episode of Black Mirror was Black Mirror without the consequences.
Oh, well, yeah.
Let's not get into
Yeah,
that.
we won't-
I
won't
can't
talk
say
about-
'cause,
yeah,
yeah, I've never-
we're not gonna talk
Anyway,
about
Different
next
episode.
All right, so the next episode we watched was Jing Hua.
the art bender.
Yes, the art bender. That one I actually really appreciated because it does deal with death as well and life. And I think it goes through the process of how one processes grief. And I think in the story, her master had died, like her master that taught her art bending per se. And she was kind of just dealing with her grief by doing her martial arts. And you see her hurting, with the paint, blood, or whatever it is that's bleeding from her.
I just got that martial arts.
I think I need to rewatch this one.
Yeah.
And like especially because Kobe just died. And so this was kind of a relevant one for all of us to watch. But yeah, I guess it's like also when you are grieving, you're expending a lot of energy because of those negative emotions too. And I kind of got that from that short for sure.
Yeah.
I think the end was kind of a cliffhanger though, because she just went back to the picture of her master and was just staring at her in like kind of a sad way.
I guess the idea was
Maybe?
that from what I'm taking from the whole short is that like she was grieving in a sense where maybe she was trying to get away from it. But the reality is you can't just get away with it just being angry or putting out your frustrations. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, it's like a process where it's like, you can't move on until you let that part go. So it's just like it's just showing that since she hasn't let it go, she couldn't move on.
Yeah.
So it's like
That's
I
true.
guess that was the lesson. To be honest, this one's conflicting because on one hand I really loved like the idea and like the way it's presented. On the other hand, I feel like this was kind of the weakest for me a little bit in the short, just because it's not as clear. I mean, we know why she's upset, but it just even the way it ended, it just kind of was like, huh?
Like the message
It's the
was
most,
confused.
it's the most metaphorical. It's the least concrete.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what
And
I
I
would
think
say.
all of us
Might
were a
have
little
been-
confused. I was like afraid to ask. I was gonna be like, wait, what did that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
The
was
message wasn't
definitely
clear.
Confused watching it, but that might have been the purpose. Like it might just be that kind
There's
of thing
no
where
sense in grief.
you
I guess
you draw from it whatever you can or whatever you want. So it's
Two things I wanted to mention. One, we didn't watch the thing before it. That might have shed some light.
That's
Honestly,
true.
A lot of light.
The interview with the creator.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
should that be considered when you're consuming any kind of
See,
media?
True.
Yeah, I was about to say because from being part of like the film stuff, they always say that the better like it's tough seeing the creator's input because then you're gonna have that certain bias
Right.
versus when you
The
look
art
at-
should be able to stand alone.
Yeah.
It should be able
agreed.
to stand on its own.
But I did like the style of art because you don't really see that.
It was
these
beautiful.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
good
yeah.
style.
It was beautiful.
Yeah,
It was for those of you guys who are wondering, it's kind of like a watercolor ancient Chinese like painting, and that's how the style of the short was.
yeah.
Also,
Or
too,
is.
you said that this one was one of the weakest ones. Just to note, we only watched what, 6?
Yeah,
6 out of the how
14.
many? 14. So there could be weaker ones.
Yeah, sure.
there is.
Yeah.
Maybe in my opinion.
I mean, I said the weakest are the ones we've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Got you.
That's
Okay.
what I mean.
I thought it was like good though, like because you, at least for kids who are watching this, there really isn't any shorts about grief and death a lot, and I feel like this was very, very straightforward in the terms of like you see the tombstone and you see her going through her own process of grief.
Yeah.
But in movies or shorts these days, you don't really see that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one we watched, it was called The Race. And it was, I would say, a typical way of showing kids messages about death
Yeah.
and life and appreciation.
That one was very entertaining.
It's pretty. That one was pretty whimsical, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very.
Yeah.
What do you guys think the message was in that one?
Let's see.
I don't know.
that's another
Off the
thing.
top of my head,
So-
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so the
So
death himself is in a little contest to kill 100 people by a certain time.
So he has
But
his
it has
own
to
job.
Be, it has
Yeah.
to be the right person. And if he kills other people, it takes away from his sum of all the right people.
His
that
quota
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
he needs.
quota. And he ends up not even killing the guy.
Yeah, because of love.
And-
See that
Because of
that
love.
was
You know,
one part that I did not
I
like,
wish
to be honest.
before death bicycled away from that guy that he took, since he like technically won the race and he wanted to get a prize. I wish he would have taken the trophy.
Yeah, that's what I thought would be
He should
better.
have taken the trophy.
be honest.
Instead,
Yeah.
he took off his death robe and biked away to who knows where.
In terms of like entertainment value, that one was one of my favorites. But in terms of like meaning and story, that was.
I feel like
definitely-
that one was not as clear. Like that one was worse
Yeah,
than Jing Huan.
But
that
if you
one.
like
Yeah, that's true.
slapstick comedy, it's for you.
It's for you. I mean, I guess the message that they're trying to do is like, so he's trying to get success, which is kind of like status or whatever, and then he realizes that love is more deeper and meaningful. So then
Get
he,
out,
at the
Shuku. That's
end, he
actually
just-
pretty deep.
He realizes that, like, okay, I prefer love, but again, the way it was executed was just kind of way.
and this is
random.
why he's in film.
Okay.
Yeah, this is why Chuku
Yeah.
is
Not
into
to-
writing.
Not to sound like weird or anything, but it's like that's true. Like there's a lot of like corporations that are out there trying to get their fortunes, and unfortunately, a lot of the little guys might suffer sometimes.
Yeah.
But in this case, love won out, and even though it cost him, what could be a career boosting move, he chose to save that guy because of love. That could be the message.
Yeah, that was the message. That was the message
I
I
think
Love
you're
over
right.
capitalism.
No, you're probably right.
I think you're
Yeah,
right.
that was the
Yeah,
whole
it's very
point.
clear now.
I
But
think
we
you're
had
right.
to talk about it for 5 minutes first.
But still,
Technically
just like
only 1 minute.
the logistics of everything, like
Yeah.
if your job is to kill people, like why does like seeing him in love make you not want to do your job anymore if he's supposed to be somebody like
You should be used to it.
you should be used to it at this point.
He technically killed 100 of the wrong people
Exactly.
too.
Again,
oh, so now you have feelings because you see his wife?
Yeah.
But you didn't see the wives of the other 100 people that you just
I mean,
so the message is definitely
Yeah, he
lost.
killed
in there.
100 other people on his conquest for this one
But
guy.
no,
Yeah,
you're for sure
yeah.
right. Like it's definitely about like work grind versus what really
Love.
matters.
like, what's the
Love.
meaning behind it? Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I honestly didn't get that until you said it.
Yeah.
So, kudos to you, Chuku. Thank you.
Entertainment wise, it was entertaining
yeah,
to watch.
definitely.
Now I really like that one because I'm like, I like
Because
that
the
message.
meaning, because the message, yeah. I like the message too. I just wish, again, it could have been executed better. Like maybe in the beginning,
yeah.
if there was hints of him not really liking what he's doing, but then he feels like he needs to do it. And maybe the reason why he feels he needs to do it is to get love, but then he realized that love is actually
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there's
I
ways
wish
they could have
there
done
could have
better.
been something like where it showed him being really ambitious, you know, maybe wanting to fit in with the other death bigwigs that are like
Something like
smoking on
that.
some cigars.
Well, in the beginning, I mean, it showed like after he got the 100, he was like
Yeah.
being applauded
Yeah,
and
exactly.
cheered. He was, I think it was like Death of the Month or whatever,
Yeah.
like Death Employee of the Month. So that might have been what you're referring to.
Yeah,
A little
it
bit.
hit hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's ambition and wanting to like move up versus what really matters, family and love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think overall, all of these shorts that we have watched overall had a good message. And there, I think for this generation of kids that are coming out, it would be good for them to watch it, especially because this is on Disney Plus, which is a family-oriented subscription service.
For now.
For now.
These are really short. I mean, we are used to watching sometimes like 15 minutes episodes of things. Growing up, we had Fairly Odd Parents, SpongeBob. Those were like
Yeah.
15 minutes, right?
Or 7 minutes. They're actually 7 minutes.
They're actually 7
Really?
minutes.
7 minutes per episode, yeah.
No way. I
No,
thought
because
they
it's
were
like
half an
7
hour.
minutes. You have 7 minutes. The way it works, it's like you have 7 minutes for one. Because one episode is like 2 little shorts, right?
Yeah.
So 7 minutes for one short. 7 minutes for another
Oh,
short.
gotcha.
I
I
have
thought it
never
was
thought of
30
that.
minutes and each was 15.
Yeah, no, because in one sort of viewing, we would have 2 different
And
shorts.
there's
Yeah.
the commercial.
There's
bits.
commercials and stuff like that. So
okay.
it's
Yeah.
like that.
Oh.
But we can all agree these are even shorter than that, though.
Yeah.
Yes,
These are-
yes.
I was just going to say, like, our attention spans are actually a lot shorter these days, ever since the kind of usage and uprising of cell phones. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like a different talk for a different time philosophically. But
Yeah.
it's just kind of interesting that this is the format of like kids entertainment now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that this is good though, like the idea of doing a bunch of short films, or short like clips with Disney. I think that it allows for us to get a taste of a lot of different styles of animation and storytelling. So there might be some, gems, like especially if they continue on with this, there might be some really great gems. I don't know. Do you guys think that any of these is better than do you guys have a favorite Pixar short?
There's definitely ones that are better than these, I think. In my opinion.
Yeah.
These are good for what it is.
Yeah.
I think I personally like the Pixar shorts more than these ones.
I think they're more thoughtful. They're more
Yeah.
thought out. I feel like it just has more of a cohesive feeling and
And I think in terms of budget, it was probably more production went
Probably,
into
yeah.
it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But overall, I would recommend, anyone who is bored to watch these shorts.
I recommend people to watch Puddles so they can get off their phones.
Yeah, me too.
Or if you're like 18 plus, watch the adult version, Love, Death, and Robots on
Oh,
Netflix.
yeah. On Netflix. We should.
I have yet to watch it, but
I've
maybe
seen,
we
like,
could do
I've
an
seen one
excerpt from that.
episode.
I've seen half of them, but
All right, that's all, folks.